Vim. Thanks for joining me on the program, The Storytellers. The Storytellers is a major vlog cast that majorly aims to take a look at and document the journeys of the storyteller. We're talking about the journey of the members of the fourth estate of the realm, the people who compile the stories, especially young people who are breaking grounds in their different societies and communities all across the world. All right, my name is Babatunde Femi Okunola. I'm going to be your host on the session. My guest today is a tech-savvy journalist with the Nation newspaper in Nigeria who covers development, technology, arts, and literature. She's won several awards, including Most Innovative Reporter at the 2016 Nigerian Media Merit Awards, the 2016 Zimeo Awards by the African Media Initiative, and she's covered several international conferences. She's also a Save Child Fellow. I need you to tell me when to stop specifically. I have Hannah Ojo, and joining me on this edition of the show. Hannah, thank you so much for...
Thank you for having me on your platform.
Platform. Yeah, platform it is. Okay, first thing I'd like to ask is this. I noticed while going through your biography, you have a background in English.
Yes.
And I'm curious because it's something we talk about in journalism about it being a space that's open, to so many disciplines. You can come from the sciences. It's about what you bring into the table. How does someone with a background in English, did you ever think about media from the onset, or was it something you stumbled upon?
Yeah, I always thought about media from the onset, and I think it's important to have that. Before getting the degree in English, I had a diploma in mass communication from the Osun State Polytechnic area.
Okay.
Even when I got into OAU, Obafemi Awolowo University, I would have opted for mass communication, but OAU does not offer mass communication. So the closest thing to that was English.
So did you at any point in time lose focus, or it was just like, okay, I might have to do a couple of detours, but I know where I'm going?
I think the focus has been there from the beginning.
Okay.
The focus, I've always known this is what I wanted. It was towards the end, when I was about graduating, that I was thinking, okay, maybe I need to go into advertising, maybe I need to go into PR, because I was looking for ways to make money.
Yeah, every one of us.
So it was at that point that I was contemplating, but thankfully I have mentors who put me through, and I was able to focus on the part.
Okay, all right. I'd also like to know more about that journey into media. When you first started, what were your expectations? How have those expectations changed over the years? Because I know you've had how many years in journalism?
Okay, how do I count my years in journalism? Professional experience.
Professional experience.
Professional experience. In my fourth year, professional experience.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Wow.
Yes, because I clocked 3 at the Nation in April, so
okay.
I'm in my fourth year.
So tell me about starting off. Are you where you thought you were going to be? Are you there sooner? An early arrival, right on time. Did your plans change along the way? When you kicked off this journey.
I think it's important to have that. When I started, I didn't really see myself as a growing on, because I've had experience doing campus reporting for Campus Life. Campus Life then was a pull-out page in the Nation newspaper. So it's just bits and bits. And the fact that I already had a diploma, so I felt it was not like I was really young. So when I got into the profession, I had to run.
And you did.
I had to run. I knew, okay, there was no time to waste. And luckily, I had people who kind of mentored me. So I think I'm just on that journey. I'm not where I want to be yet.
We'll talk about that in a bit, as well as the mentor angle. But then I noticed, let's talk about your works and some of the things you've covered. A lot of your works have got to do with development-based journalism. And one of your most impactful work, which still continues to get a lot of recognition, is the sketchy sachet water. Tell me about preparing for that. Was it always something you wanted to do? What led to that story? Tell us the sketchy water story.
The sketchy water story was actually, I got inspiration from an experiment with my elder sister. She told me at the point that she stopped purchasing sachet water, and our children stopped falling ill. They stopped getting ill, something, you cut that part. So And that kind of prompted something within me. I know, okay, even sometimes, you buy this sachet water and you taste it, there's something wrong with this. So when I saw an opportunity with Impact Africa to write a development story, and I knew they were going to fund it, because I've always had the intention to do that story, but I knew it was very expensive, because each sample that I tested, we spent like 25,000 naira on each sample, and we tested 30 samples. And I was not sure if the nation was going to sponsor that. So when I saw the opportunity on Impact Africa that they will be funding development projects, I just submitted a pitch on that story. So it's something that I've had in mind to do, and the opportunity came, and I got funding support to do it.
Wow. So you were looking forward to that, and that it was just the right opportunity at the right time.
Yes, it
and
was.
it just fell into place.
It was. Even when I started the projects, it was huge. Like at the time, it was taxing, very taxing.
Let me just say, as a journalist right now, that it's one of the most in-depth stories I've seen from our part of the world. That is because then you had collaborations, you had research. It took months. It took
Yes.
time. It took a lot of work. How did you feel during that period? How amazing was it? How crazy was it? As a
I think it
journalist.
was quite crazy. It was amazing. When you start a work, you look at the end. You have the end in mind. This is what I want to achieve. But at the beginning, when I got the fund, when I got the fund from Impact Africa and I was starting the project, at a point I was afraid. I was like, oh God, what have I gotten into? This is a big thing. I never imagined it would be this taxing. But I just had to go on. From the aspect of trying to read the research, meet the experts, randomly select the samples, it took a lot of effort because I didn't trust people enough. I couldn't kind of give that side of the project, maybe hand it over to interns or other reporters. I had to do some of the things myself because I needed to be sure.
All right. And talking about the impact of that particular story, how did that feel?
Hmm. I think one of the thing is when you've spent a lot of effort on something, at the time it kind of gains recognition or commendation. You sort of forget all the
Oh, you had
efforts
to
you
go
made,
through.
all you had to go through in the past. So I remember when the story was published, when I first got a call from the president of the Table Water Association of Nigeria. She was like, you have threw a bomb. Like, what did you do? Why did you do this? And before I knew it, the Lagos State Water Regulatory Council took the case of shutting some pure water factories, and it sort of helped to put those people on their toes because they called meeting, had some resolutions. So looking at the impact and the fact that people took ownership of the reports, you have other people doing self-reporting, like, okay, these are the things we saw. We saw this pure water truck, people sleeping on a pure water truck. Is it hygienic? And the fact that people get to share their own stories, like they get to share their own experience. And the fact that people were able to read and get actionable information, because that was the goal of the project in the first place, that give people the information that they can use, so that way they know the brand they can trust. That way when they know, okay, there's something called pH level in the water you drink, if it tastes somehow, okay, the pH level is actually not not in accordance with the standard, so that it won't be harmful to your health. So all those, the impact kind of help make the pain experienced during the journey of the reporting.
All right. And I want to go back to that journey again because oftentimes when we talk about investigative reportage, people think, well, oh, there's a really bold people, courageous people. Like she just went there and she did it. I want to talk about what a lot of young people might want to know right now. Were you afraid? Because it was a bomb you threw. And, with so many stories that go on about press freedom and all of that, were you afraid?
I was not afraid when I was doing the story. I wasn't. But on the day the story was published, I cried. I was afraid.
Where were you? You just
Because
locked yourself off somewhere, like.
yes, I was in the room. The calls were coming in. First, I got a call from someone. I don't want to give
I understand
the
that.
name, and it
Very
was like,
influential.
hey, what you did is, if there's any court case on this, you're on your own. And I cried because I was like, what have I gotten myself into? So it was after the story was published that I was sort of afraid. But even then, I just went to the office and I checked my file. I have backup. We used the best lab. So if there was anything that anybody wanted to say, we had the evidence
You
to
had the
back it up. We
evidence.
had the data. So
And that was really important in
it
this
was really
particular
important. We
case.
kept all those things. That was how we ensured that we used the right agencies. The test sample was done by the University of Lagos lab. We had credible people, the chemical analyst, it's a registered chemical analyst. So if anybody was going to bring up any issue, we
You
already
were
have the
ready.
data and the document to back it up.
All right, I wish I could talk to you about this story on and on and on and on, journalist to journalist. That this is our journalist roundtable. This is how we hang out. Like, hey, what did you have to go through during the period? But it's all good. Now let's talk about covering development stories. I know a huge lot of your work has got to do with development, and the sketchy sachet water investigative journalistic piece was just one of them. When you take a look at journalism in Nigeria, oftentimes we'll look to people and we say, oh, we need someone who's been there for like 200 years or 500 years. But as a young person, as a new generation of the crop of journalists who are getting there right now, do you think development stories, we're at the stage where we're doing enough? Because so many people feel that's what we should be doing right now. We have a lot of celebrity journalism going on, nothing against that, but developmental journalism, like what you've done.
We are definitely not doing enough. Because we have a lot of issues around us. You have issues in development, issues in health, women and children, social justice issues, and it's painful that journalists are not paying attention to these issues. Rather, we pay attention to issues in economy reports, the newsmakers. Who should be the newsmakers, really? The people in the rural environment, in the rural communities, especially journalists in the outstations. You have, okay, by outstation, I mean journalists in other locations, in other states of the federation. You have a lot of things going on in those locations that people are not reporting. Maybe we don't realize how powerful our platform is, how powerful the pen is. There should be a lot of attention going into those areas. Let's go into the rural areas, let's go into the communities, let's get the voices of the people. It's not the voices of the government official. You're writing press releases, 4 or 5 paragraphs. That is not going to do anything. Let's go into those communities, monitor government projects, monitor the impact of policies on the people. So we need to have a lot of journalists searching, beaming their searchlights in that area.
Wow, thank you very much. I was just going to ask you about where you think you're missing it. And okay, we need to take an action right now. What action would be necessary, to take?
As journalists, I think the action that will be necessary is for us, like I said earlier, beam our searchlights on the people. When you go for a press conference on health and they say, okay, we've done this policy, or we've made this policy happen, why don't you go back to that community and ask the women, ask the men, ask the children, what is the effect of this? You have a lot of projects going on. I'm surprised journalists are not monitoring constituency projects. And that is one area we need to do more work on, because we are talking about transparency. You want the government to work. It's not going to work if we are not doing our role as a watchdog. My role as a watchdog is not to interview the minister or to interview the president and the rest. I need to go into the communities. Let's talk to people who have real life issues, real life challenges. Because if you are not even provided this perspective, how do you want our leaders to be able to enact the right policies? They won't know. So it is our information that will kind of inform the policy that the government enacts.
All right, well, thank you very much. And that's how this particular edition ends. That's how the cookie crumbles on this particular edition of the Storyteller series. That was like, the interview lasted for about 25-30 minutes, but we couldn't capture all of it. But those were the highlights of that conversation as it went. The stories behind the stories, the people who write the stories, their motivations, and what have you. And I can't wait for you to see the other editions, the particular voices behind the stories, the news writers, and some of the stories that did make major impact across the globe. And well, until the next time when I come your way, and well, with some more exciting stories. Well, my name is Babatunde Okunlola. Thanks for watching this particular edition, and tune in for the next one. Bye for now.